Alright, so I'm going to try my best to make a quicker, more concise, helpful tutorial, especially on the glitch build techniques. I actually just tried doing this and realized that apparently I need to pay attention to my mic because it was muted the entire time somehow. But I'm going to redo it again. Maybe this time, since it's a second go, it'll be a little quicker. But I am going to tear down just one half and rebuild. And I'm going to take a little special care on the nacelle portion, especially since I know that's a lot of people were saying that one was a little trickier, understandable. But again, I'm only tearing down half just so I don't have to rebuild the whole thing. You can repeat it all on the other half, except for a couple little tiny details I will show. And then I would, as a revision to my other update, or not update, tutorial, I would actually start this. You're not going to be able to get the nacelle in place if you finish the pylon all the way. So I'll show that here, but let me destroy what I've got and we'll restart. So we're going to start down at the bottom here. I've got starting from the center square, and for reference, when I say a square, I mean like a single habitat module versus a double. So to make it easier in the video, if I say, a single, I'm talking about a single hab module, a double, again, a double, to make that a little bit easier. So it's one single that has moved just one square forward. Again, a square or a single, double, just for reference. So it's moved one square space forward from the starting point here is going to be where you start with your hab module, and go ahead and place. You can do whatever landing gear you want. I did the thrusters under that. And then from there, it's one more single going up, one more single from there. So we're at 3, one more on top of that. So now 4, and then we go into a double for the rest of the saucer here. This is basically the whole neck is going to be that way. So it's one single, 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 and a double. And then we do have one more double on top of that going into the actual saucer. But that is the main starting point. And then if you go just the one stack up here, on the back here, I do have a double, and then one more double to finish out the interior of the fuselage there. And then starting from the very base here, I've got the Speedbird cowling flipped upside down to start that kind of rounded curve up into the back. I'm going to go ahead and delete these here so I can show how we're going to get that all placed. So again, from the back of that single hab, Speedbird flipped upside down, right there, Speedbird cowling. And then to get the rest of these parts connected here, we're going to need to start with a Super Cruise aerofoil, and of course that's flipped upside down, and I'm connecting it to the very back of the bottom double hab right here. So it's connected right to the back, and that's going to allow us to take the engine cover, make sure it's flipped the right direction here with the curve going towards the back, and connect that right to the back of the Super Cruise aerofoil so it has something to connect to. Let me get rid of this really quick. So that's how what it should look like as you're getting this kind of started here. And then from there, I'm going to go ahead and connect that longshore. That's the part we're looking for the back. The longshore cowling right to the back of the top double hab on the back. So right directly to that. And then that part's almost done. Now for this one, you could use any single square piece, make it easier. I'm just going to keep using habitat modules. We take one single square right to the back of that little opening cavity right there, and then flipped upside down connected to that is the Speedbird fairing right there. And then again, this part's up to you guys, but this is how I wanted it. You could leave the hab module if you want, but I connected the Ambassador class landing bay right to the back, and that is the back here. All right, so that's the back kind of bottom half section there. And then to finish that out on the top here of the double habs, I've got Super Cruise cowling that kind of just finishes that line up into the neck itself. All right, so hopefully that portion was clear. Now I'm going to go on to the pylons here, and what we're going to do is start out with a radiator casing, and that's flipped upside down excuse me, and for reference of where to place it, right at the end of the top double hab in the fuselage body right here, right there. So it's kind of, again, coming off the end of it, if you see. That's where we want that. Now, to get this to stack upwards, this is where this kind of a glitch build technique comes in, because if you see, if we try to place it right on top of that one, it's going to place on the outside edge, kind of off-centered, not where we want it. So, to get that to work where we want it, you need to use a habitat module. Probably could use something else, but I'm just using this to be a little quicker and easier to understand. And what you're going to do is place that hab module right on the back of the radiator casing that we just placed, coming out the back edge here. Again, you might be able to do it differently. I'm just doing it this way to make it easy. And sorry about my voice, sinuses, allergies, whatever, that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're going to connect that to the back and stack one on top of that. And then you can go ahead and get rid of the one under it. This is where I don't even want to call it a glitch build, but we'll call it a glitch build technique comes in. You're going to take this ducting outlet, again, could use another piece, but I'm just being direct and using just one item on each to make it more direct and easy to understand. Take that ducting outlet and you're going to place it on the back portion of your habitat module here, just like this. That's going to allow you to use that air ducting as like a center movement point. So if you look anywhere I move it, it's trying to connect to that piece, but it allows you to move it instead of just two whole squares over in half-step movements. Okay, so we can move it one half-step. Again, starting with it on the back right there, what we want to do is move this over to where that air ducting is now on the face. All right, so that is the first portion of getting this to connect. You want to get that to where it's right there. Pause it, rewind it if you needed to go back over that. The next portion is the rock hopper propeller module. And if you notice, I'm going to try to only explain this once because this is relevant to the other side as well. When you try to do the other one, you kind of have to do this, what'll seem like the opposite. But this rock hopper module on this side of the hab module will only move over one space at a time. No little increments or half movements or multiple snap points, just the two. So you want to find the side, and it should be on this side, where you can find multiple snap points instead of just two. That's where you want to place your rock hopper module, and preferably I would say just place it in the center just to make that easier. And what that's going to allow us to do is move the hab module over to where it is now lined up with where we want this radiator casing to sit. Now, once you've got this structure put together, you'll notice the radiator casing, of course flipped upside down, will let you place right above that one. Now we can get rid of that and then place another radiator casing upside down connected to that one like this. All right, now if we try to do it one more time, again, we're back into the same issue. Won't let us place it directly above, so what you're doing is just repeating that process. Just rinse and repeat here. Place the hab module onto the back, stack one above it, get rid of the bottom one, grab your ducting outlet, place it on the back portion here, on the back sides, back square, so to speak, of that, right on the edge. Grab your hab module and now move it to where the air ducting is on the face, and you're now lined at least on this edge at the end of that radiator casing. And then again, take the rock hopper propeller module, place it on the back, get rid of this, and then you can now slide your hab module over one space, forcing that radiator casing right where you want it. And you're just about done building it. Now we're going to take one more radiator casing, again flipped upside down to keep that angle. And then what I would do here, if you wanted, you could just keep this, but part conservation and just better look, get rid of the bottom two radiator casings. And what I did is took a Arcadia S foil for the base of the pylon, and if I connect that there, you'll see it'll now fuse into that and kind of act like it's connecting when it's not. And placement for that, again, is right on the very end portion, not off the edge, but right on the edge, last little connecting spot of this top hab module. That's where you want to place that so that it connects right into here. And now that you've got this much of it built up, the next step would be to get the body pieces for the nacelles in place. And what I'm using is reinforced hull links. And what you're going to want to do to start with, or what I would recommend, is to stack 3 of those on top of each other, because you do want it to be one space above the pylon, because we've got one last piece to put in the pylon here. But once we get those stacked up, get rid of the bottom 2 and just leave this one so we can finish the pylon here. And we need to do that that little glitch technique one more time on the top portion. And you're going to want an open space to do that. So don't finish the nacelles until you've done this, just to make these snap points a little easier here. But same thing, grab the air ducting, place it on the back half, grab your hab module, get that air ducting to be on the front of your hab module right there, and grab your rock hopper propeller, place that right there in the center, and then just slide this over one little half step. And then now at the very top of the pylon, I'm using the domed casing is the piece. You can, if you want, use something else. That's what I would recommend. And then since you have that place, again, you should at this point have one of these pieces hovering right here for the nacelle, the reinforced hull. Now you can take the reinforced hull link, place that on the bottom, and it will connect into the pylon. And then for the nacelles themselves, I've got one reinforced hull link here on the bottom. On the front piece here, it is a Speedbird fairing flipped upside down, and then obviously we've got the Medusa class reactor. The color that I went with is a metallic finish, light gray and blue and light gray. Again, do whatever you want if it's your ship, but I think that matches the actual ship the most. Most of the ship is in that color, minus the metallic finish. These ones are metallic finish. The rest of the ship is still blue and light gray, but in the inverted gloss finish. I feel like that's the closest. I wish we could just get a solid gray, but that's what they gave us. So again, you've got these 2 reinforced hull links right here. One on the bottom, speed-varying Medusa class reactor, and then on the back of that bottom reinforced hull link is a Speedbird cowling flipped upside down. That creates that kind of curve on the body. And again, on the back of the reinforced hull link, we've got 1 more and 2 more. So 2 on the back of that top one. So there's 3 on top, 1 reinforced hull link at the base there, and then of course at the very back is the engine. Now these last 2, we have to do a different glitch building technique. I was the one, at least in my experience of using it, that came across this by accident. I haven't seen anyone else do it. I'm going to do my best to explain it, but basically what you're going to want to do, this will allow you to, say it's red right now, meaning I can't place it there, and obviously it's green here. So to allow you to place it outside of the build length zone, what you're going to want to do is, it's kind of an adjacency glitch. If you're not familiar with those, look up Beeblebum. He's got really great glitch tutorials. I've learned a lot from him, but definitely look that up. But this is kind of an adjacency glitch. You're going to find a green highlighted zone where you can snap it, where it'll let you snap it, that is just 1 space away in movement from that red highlighted snap zone. All right, so it's right there. Just a very tiny movement. As quick and easy a line as you can get is what you're going for, because if you're on multiple snap points, it's not going to be easy. You may have to move around your angle, whatever, but you just got to give it some tries. And what we're doing is going from the green zone into that red zone while hitting place with a slight preference towards place. You're doing it at basically the same time. So you're flicking into that zone while hitting place, and if you do it right, it will allow you to place it in that redded out snap zone there. And then we're doing the same thing for the engine on the back. I went with the Pyrodrive booster. That's what I would recommend, just to make the nacelles look right. Same concept though, but a little different on these, because we're not finding a snap point starting point. Instead, if you notice, when it's just free like this and I go to move towards that, there's a split second where it goes green. Same concept here, but a little bit trickier timing. because you do have to just basically hit it perfectly on that movement, but you're just flicking into that zone, and the second it's green, hit place. So it's a pretty much instantaneous, at the same time type of thing, moving into that place and hitting place. You're going to have to, like I said, probably give it a few tries, but that's how it works. So if it's not working, just keep trying. Again, all you're doing, let me do it one more time to show. We're starting from a green snap point into that red snap point, move and place. Move into it from the green and place. At basically the same time, with just a slight preference towards the placement, just to make sure that it correctly goes in there. And then on the engine, similar concept, but just a little different. Go from a free placement, just kind of moving around, and have your camera towards where it should snap, and you'll see it turns green. You just go into that place and go into that zone, that red zone, and place right as you see it turn green. And you're repeating the same process on the other side, of course, for the nacelles. All right, so that gives you the pylons and the nacelles. Those are all completed. Now at this point, for the rest of the fuselage here, we're going to start with the bottom, which is a Super Cruise aerofoil here. And of course you want the curve facing this way, and the placement is directly on the edge of that first square hab module here. As you can see, it's right on the edge of that. So that's where you're going to place that piece. And then on the front of that, to give the roundness to the front here, I've got the engine cover. And of course you're going to want to make sure the curved end is back here. And as you can see, that's snapping onto, again, that same square hab module, but now sticking forward off the body. In the center point here, if you want to do something different, you could, but I do have the radar dome right here. And I went ahead and colored that black just so it kind of fits, as a background a little more. And then for that blue glow, I'm kind of getting out of order, but I figured I might as well hit this. The blue glow is just blue lights, just kind of free placed very carefully in rows of 3, going up and down, left and right from the center, diagonal in both directions, and that gives you that blue glow on the front. Sorry, again, out of order, but I figured I was right there. Might as well do it. On the top portion of the shape for the fuselage, again, an engine cover, and we're once again basically snapping it into the same position as this aerofoil at the bottom, which is right at the edge of the habitat modules on the neck and fuselage, but this one is obviously spaced 1 stack above, technically 2, we'll say 2 stacks above the bottom piece here. And then again, we're taking another engine cover, sticking it on the front edge so that it's sticking out right there. And then on the top here of the fuselage, I'm not really sure what the body design or the body name for that section is, but it's the albatross side pod flipped upside down. And then I've got a Argonaut cowling on the bottom. And then the final piece here on the outer edge are these Arcadia aerofoils. And you just want to place them so that they're lined up with that front to give you the kind of rounded look of the fuselage. So that finishes out the entire bottom of the ship and back as well. So now all that's left is the saucer. And again, going up the neck from those single cabs, we have 1 double and then 1 more double cab on top. And this one is basically going to be even with the saucer, that final one. And what we're doing is it's 3 pieces in total on the top here. So 3 double habitat modules like that. That's the length of the inner portion of the saucer. And then going across the sides of it, let me start with the inside here. Let me move these pieces so we can see this. Directly connected to that, you're going to have to use a single hab module of some kind to get this length right here. But we'll start on the front. Directly from the front of those 3 long habitat modules together, we connect another hab module right here, and then another one at the back on the back side of that one. And let me move that over a little bit so we can see. See, there's 2 hab modules right there. Sorry, I'm on the wrong part. On this part, 2 hab modules right there, and then a single. So what I would actually do here, this is where you get the easier to enter the cockpit little zone here. Instead of having to go all the way up the fuselage into the neck, just take a Thunderbird class landing bay right there so that you can skip all the stairs to get into your ship. Highly recommend it. If you want to save parts and not do that, you don't have to, but that's what I would do. And that will finish out the inner portion. Just one last little section here. We're doing just a double hab, kind of off-centered here from the front, and that's going to be even with the back. Just 2 double habs here. So starting from the inner part, again, 1 double hab there, another double hab, and then 1 more double hab. And then from there we've got a double hab, the Thunderbird class landing bay, another double hab. On this section, it doesn't really matter the placement, but I've got the single at the back, and then double and double again for that. And then on the outer edge, a double with the front pushed inward 1 spot, and this is even with the back. Hopefully I explained that clearly. Now on this part, to start filling in the saucer, I'm using the firebox cowling on that portion flipped upside down, so directly connected to the neck on the back here. Again, that's the firebox cowling flipped upside down. And then we've got most of this built up with the Arcadia stabilizer flipped upside down. And then all you're really doing is just trying to make sure it's positioned to where the curve is going along a curved position around. All right, so we're following that all the way around the outer part of the ship. And then as one last piece to give a little more roundness, you could use a habitat module if you want, but I like the roundness of this part to kind of cut the edges down a little. Reinforced hull link just right in the center of those 2 hab modules right there. And then again, we're taking the Arcadia stabilizer, make sure it's facing the right way to follow that curve, and just connecting that on either side of the reinforced hull link. Another Arcadia stabilizer right there, and you're inverting but doing the same thing on this side. Now for this part of the saucer, the front, we again are going just outside of the build length to get the proportions right on this ship. I don't think it's possible to not do that with the size I'm going for. So same glitch as before on the nacelles there to get into that red snap point, but this one, it is important you want to make sure you have your part positioned the way you want it to be when it snaps, because you cannot reposition it once it snaps, of course. So get it lined up in the position you want, find a green zone next to it that snaps right into the red zone with just a quick movement there, and then you're going to move into it and place basically at the same time. And I'll give a small correction. You actually do want to give a little bit more preference to the movement, not the placement. So again, when you're doing that little snap glitch, movement just a little bit before placement, almost at the same time, but a little bit of preference on movement to get it to snap in. Just mess around with it, and I mean, I figured it out by accident. You guys should be able to if you just keep trying at it. Now this one on the very front is the Argonaut cowling in the very center. That one's a little weirder because there aren't, you'll notice, as many easy snap points real close. But the same concept applies. You just find one that you can quickly snap between and move and then snap. And repeat that all the way around the saucer, and that'll give you the base of the entire saucer. And then on the very top here, you can see just one square moved in. I've got the Speedbird cowling, and directly connected to that, the Ambassador class hab. You can use whatever class you want. I just like the way the interior looks better with that. And then to round out the top on either side, I've got Speedbird nacelles that are connected kind of in between that cowling and the hab module here. And you're doing the same thing on the front portion on either side. So it's the Speedbird nacelle right there. So you'll want it to be lined up with the very front of the cockpit, which again is on the front of that hab module. If you want to change the placement on that, of course you can. That's how I have mine set up. I just feel like that's more centered, kind of looks a little better. And then last couple of pieces here on the underside here for the neck, going up right above the kind of jutted out part of the fuselage, going up the neck. And this again, I guess this would be an easier way to reference it. It's connected directly to the very top single square hab right here on the front. We've got a albatross side pod right there, and then on the double hab that's right on top of that on the front, I've got the Super Cruise cowling flipped upside down, and then on either side of that double hab module I have the Super Cruise aerofoil facing kind of swept towards the back like that, and you're just going to want to place one again on either side like that. And then for me, the gun is right there. If you want to be really accurate, it would be probably on the side here somewhere, but I think that was just easier, saves parts, all that good stuff. Again, these are the blue lights, and then the last thing I do want to show is for the thrusters on the rear here. All I did was red lights, and they're kind of in a somewhat of a triangular pattern. Unfortunately, they kind of glitch out for some reason, and you can't really see the lights, but you see the light from the lights, so that's good enough. But hopefully this was much more clear than my last tutorial video, and you guys can actually build one of these off of this video. And then if you guys want to, as a reference, let me see if I can get it in here. There we go. This is how I have my... Oh, it cleared out. Never mind. Well, I was going to show you guys my cockpit, but with building it... Actually, here. Let me just fly over to it. At that point, you should have the entire ship built up. Let me save having to go through all these stairs here. Thought this was a pretty cool layout for the essentially Captain's Bridge. Tried to make it into more of an actual captain's bridge than just a cockpit here. So I've got the captain's chair. This part obviously is sized down, which I'm just using, you know, as many computer-looking interior parts as I can put in here that makes sense where they're placed. Monitor station, large monitor station, that kind of stuff. But I did shrink them down a little bit. But that would be the captain's chair. You know, think what you want of them, whatever these parts would be, but I think this is just a cool looking interior layout. But yeah, hopefully this video actually helps you guys, and obviously comment if you have any questions on it. I'll do my best to help you out.